annual magazines as well. So what is, specifications of this, unique features of this magazine? As it is not as current as that we get to see in the news items and all. It is, depicting the stories that must, if it is a weekly magazine, assume that it is a weekly magazine. So all the news happenings in that particular week, we get to read in an elaborate way. Okay, digging into the details, knowing the, crux of the story. It will have, it has a separate set of, readers for this content. And these magazines are very popular for the readers who are looking into, minute details of getting into, understanding the story in a better fashion. Okay, there is something called Sundays, magazines, which are regularly run by all the publications, irrespective of regional, vernacular, or national newspapers. Even Hindu has, which is a national edition. Even Chronicle has a, Express has, similar to that of a, regional vernacular press. Like Inadu, we get on a weekly basis also, weekly book, weekly magazine. So which will give you a variety of, news items. It will have stories related to politics. It will have stories related to crime, stories for kids, cooker, cuisine or cooking tips, or some recipes or travelogues. Okay, it is not, addressing to all, similar to that of a newspaper, but the only difference we get to see is it is not current as that of a newspaper. It will have an elaborate, coverage of that particular event, which must have been prevailing in that particular week. If it is a weekly magazine, if it is a bi-monthly edition, that is fifth, bi-weekly and all. So if it is a monthly edition, you get to have all the roundup of stories occurred in that particular month. So it is in that fashion. Now coming to Sunday specials, all the newspapers, okay, they do have something called weekly magazines. They will have, stories related to trends about fashion, science and technology, travelogues, recipes, book reviews, or stories for kids or puzzles. Okay, all these items. Some magazines are like, niche audiences, like targeting to a specific set of people. Like you can say women's era, which focuses on addresses of issues related to women. It will broadly, their target audience are women. There are some magazines for kids as well, like, we have Chandamama in Telugu, and other series of publications. They do have specific magazines for science and technology, automobiles. Then we have research. Then we have travelogues, cookery, fashion, politics, like EPW is one such. About rural development, we have Kurukshetra, Down to Earth, and all. Okay, so there are many magazines, not alone crime, sir. For that matter, we have magazine for a special set of audiences. Like women have their own set of magazines, business people have their own set of magazines. The people are interested to know about the current trends about economic political weekly, which is a serious decked up content about, giving a roundup of all the political activities, economical activities of that particular, week. EPW, or you can have a Kurukshetra, Down to Earth, Yojana. These, journals or magazines will speak about all the, government schemes and policies. Who are their target audiences? What are the specifications of that? Who are the eligible, people for that to apply and get benefited out of this policy making? So, like this, we have set of magazines. One of the germs of Sunday papers is locally edited magazine. Today's magazine seeks to educate as well as entertain and portray real people close to the reader. Although this weekly supplement is an integral part of newspaper, it is distinctly a magazine. It is built and printed in a magazine. It may be identified with its parent newspaper, yet it has a style and personality of its own. Now coming to magazine. A magazine is a publication that is used periodically. It generally contains essays, stories, poems, articles, fiction, recipes, images, etc. Magazines are directed at a general and specific audiences. So there are magazines in general, there are magazines for specific set of audiences. Okay. Gentleman magazine, founded in 1731, is considered as the world's first magazine. Then we have The Economist, Coilers, The Saturday Evening Post, National Geographic, Time, The New York Life, People, etc. The present age of social media, the idea of magazine is returning towards storehouse roots. That means, the present age of social media is putting, a great check to all these sort of, traditional media. But still, these traditional media organizations, they started having their own social media platforms. Like if you speak about the Hindu or Frontline or Business Line, or for that matter any magazine like Yojana, Kurukshetra magazine, Outlook, Women's Era, all these publications are now having e-copy and e-subscription. Okay, these copies are even available on the social media platforms also. Okay, functionally, a magazine still represents the idea of a bunch of thematical related content put together as one packaging. A magazine can also be considered as a cabinet of curiosities, that is, a display case in which interesting, unusual, and occasional eccentric objects are collected and displayed as a conversational piece or an expression of writers' wide range of interests or tastes. So they'll try to pick up any topic and they try to give different perceptions of the people out of their expertise. A daily newspaper which brings you news and views every 24 hours remains fresh only for a short period. Your reading appetite slowly vanishes after the first week, and you may not touch it again for a serious analytical reading because we have the radio, television, internet, social network, etc. with us throughout the day. They constantly inform us of the happenings of the day with the text, pictures, and sounds, no matter where we are or what we are doing. Okay. Unlike newspapers, a magazine never reports daily news, but we flip through its pages almost every day and reread the contents till the next issue of magazine reaches us. Sometimes we refer the select contents many times for several months as it documents information which is valuable and relevant over sometimes. So what are they trying to tell is like, though the magazine is not as fresh as that of a newspaper, but people still try to read this magazine. They try to, reread the articles which are of, greater impact and, great importance according to their own choice of area. Okay, they try to preserve these copies unless the next issue comes in. They keep skimming the pages thoroughly. Okay, they do revisit the magazine pages. It is not like a newspapers which we read and forget in next 24 hours. Okay, magazines deal with the social, cultural, and political issues where more deeply than a daily newspaper. That is what any issue for that matter. It have a deep, understanding of any concept or any news item that has already has happened, and the opinions keep coming from the different set of people out of their expertise. The variety and richness of the contents, its social focus and visionary perspectives are more valued by the readers. The success of a magazine is based on intelligent observation, imagination, and consistency in articulating the views on all matters of public life. Then moving to characteristics of magazine, just now we have already discussed what are the characteristics, like it is a weekly, monthly, or a quarterly, half yearly, or an annual magazine. They try to give up a roundup of all the events that must have happened in that particular, fixed time frame on which they are working. Like while popular magazines provide a broad overview of topics, scholarly journals provide in-depth analysis of topics and reports the findings of the research, and trade magazines report on industry trends, new products, or techniques. A popular magazine which caters to the general public uses non-technical language. The contents, that means to say they try to use the common language which is very familiar to a common lay person without any technical terms or scientific jargon going into it. They try to keep the language as simple as possible. A staff writer or a journalist usually writing, articles, in some cases, interesting articles, or freelancers are also encouraged. They generally contain many interesting and sometimes sensuous photographs to attract the readers. In general, magazine articles are easy to read, fairly brief in length, and may include illustrations or photographs. Magazines don't necessarily follow a specific format or a structure in writing. Okay, unlike newspapers, which we have discussed, like, newspaper has this inverted pyramid structure, which is broader in the beginning and narrow at the, conclusion. So, this magazine writing doesn't have any fixed format of writing articles. Its attractive appearance, eye-catching cover pictures, and illustrations on a quality paper make it more appealing to the reader public. Magazines also contain many colorful and impressive advertisements. Magazines editing process. How do they edit these magazines? Top editing tips will surely help magazine editor, tighten their writing and that of others they get to the edit. It has made it more important than ever that every word counts, and magazine editors are at the top of their game. Remove weak descriptions. You will often find weak descriptions in the form of a bad adjectives. They are like leeches that suck the life from your writing. That means to say, once the beginning of the story, you should be, using terms and all. Your lead or the starting paragraphs should create some sort of interest in the readers. The usage of terms, the grammar, the language which goes into it should be like, very attractive so that people are coming to read to your article. Okay, here are some examples like very big. Instead of very big, you can use huge, bad is terrible, very beautiful is joy, gorgeous. Okay, you get the idea. Even if you don't have an adverb pointing to a weak adjective, you can often make your writing more impactful by finding stronger alternatives. Like instead of writing scared, you can mention it as terrified. Okay, instead of writing dirty, you can make it as filthy. Okay, tired is exhausted. So whatever the language that is going into, magazine, it should be as simple as possible. It should be in a narrative piece. ఒక స్టోరీ చదువుతున్నలాగా ఉంది. Okay, keep it simple. Long sentences often lose readers. They sometimes contain more than one idea, meaning reader loses their focus because they don't get a break. Okay, long articles, when you keep on reading, the reader is, losing the connection what he must have read in the beginning. Later, as he proceeds for the more, he'll forget the points. So you will notice that the article are much easier to read when sentences are shorter. So when you're writing for a magazine, try to keep your sentences as short as possible, not exceeding, more than 15 words or 18 words. It could also have the surfboard in long in size. Remove the jargon. What do you mean by jargon? Like, each, specific like science and technology. If we have to speak about any composition, what is the composition going into making of this COVID vaccine or some other medicine or some other thing, you should not be mentioning too many, scientific terminology of it. Instead, what you can do is what are the adverse effects of it? Like, keep it to the simple. Like when we have to say about water, in general, language, we say it is water. If it is a scientific one, we say a lot of H2O, molecules are colliding with the air molecules, the sort of, chemical reaction happening and that, blah, blah, blah. So don't keep that sort of jargon, which is high of intellectual caliber, which doesn't get, readers interest into it. Try to keep your language simple and never use this scientific and high intellectual caliber or jargons into it. Okay, consider formatting. Formatting makes a massive difference to the overall readability of an article. Sometimes writers forget to close their quotes with a second quotation mark. It's also a good idea to check if they have placed the period outside or inside that quote mark. We are usually taught to place it outside, but it's now expecting to see it inside the quote mark. So these are all some minute grammatical things that we have to focus before we sit for editing for magazine. Avoid nominalization. What do you mean by nominalization? This is when writer uses weak nouns equivalents when they could have used a stronger adjective or a verb. And it means that they also usually end up introducing other necessary words. So yes, Ambri, the last class they were asking about the PPT. Rather than a PPT, I asked you just open the book editing for media. I am in 137 page number. Okay, 137 is the page number. Okay, so that we can simultaneously have a read or a look onto the content that I am discussing. So, like, what are the things that have to be avoided in formatting this stuff? Like, give your article and edit your article. Sugar is the cause of obesity. Sugar causes obesity. Here shows the signs of drunkenness. He is drunk. She has a high level of, carelessness. She is careless. Okay. Try to cut short your usage of words and sentences. Okay, proficiency goes into this again. Remove the passive voice. The passive voice isn't always a bad thing, particularly if you are writing about a technical topic. But whenever you make writing easier to read and clear, you should, and removing passive writing does this. When you are writing in the active voice, it means that verbs, the subject is performing the action. Ben loves Sarah. In the passive voice, this would be Sarah is loved by Ben. Most of the time, you will want to avoid the passive voice. Okay, active voice is better. Is it clear? Use contractions. These days, there is rarely a need to use formal writing without contractions. And magazines are not formal. Contractions help you connect with your reader by making the writing sound friendlier. They also make articles easier to comprehend and read. Swap. You are for you are. I am for I am. I hope you people must have opened your copies, right? This morning.
Yes,
Please
madam.
go through the contents that I am reading. Okay. Remove unnecessary punctuations. Punctuation can help provide clarity to readers. Okay. But an article littered with ellipses, colons, and parentheses probably won't flow well. Unnecessary punctuation disrupt the readers, which is opposite of what you want to do. You can often eliminate much of these punctuations by either adding a comma or splitting one sentence into two sentences. Magazines layout. So what should be a style of a magazine? For making a magazine layout, the following elements are important. They are style, design, and layout, readability, display of ads, visual strength, shelf life. So firstly, style. As I have already said, the style is something called, newspapers' unique features like newspapers focuses on catchy headlines to create interest in the reader. Sorry. Many reporters and editors are employed in newspaper to prepare specialized reports and interpretive articles. Okay. But magazines have lesser stuff. A magazine writer has more freedom to express or has more room for subjectivity. He or she has the tenacity and freedom to express things creatively. So creative explanation happens in magazine. Okay, it further enhances the writer's mastery of expression by imploring these seemingly circular, methods of self-expression. The newspaper writer, on the other hand, is compounded to somewhat strict, strong, and straight writing, mostly based on facts and figures. Design and layout. So these days we are even attracted to the sort of layout a newspaper has, the sort of colors they are using, the sort of, glossiness a paper maintains, like especially in the weekends, if you get to read about Times magazine or monthly magazine, what you get Times, that paper itself is very glossy and quality. People are willing to read it. Okay, they want to feel it manually and then read it. They are attracted to that. So not alone the quality of the paper, but the layout, like the placement of articles in the magazine, also keep attracting. Like sometimes most of the magazines they have, if it is a science and technology, they'll put up a big photograph of that injection or a medicine or about a mobile phone and its features with a write up. You can say a text wrapper along the photo. Okay, something like that. So yeah. Newspapers are known for their simple layout and design. While the content is usually in black and white, the style and the font are fairly consistent throughout. So they are using the set rules of using fonts and size of fonts, shape of fonts. Okay, magazines have much more visual expression than newspapers because magazines are not subjected to one consistent layout. So magazines doesn't have a fixed layout. Depending on the relevance of the topics, this packaging of stuff happens in magazines. They are loaded with lot of pictures, graphics, and the other elements going into it. Magazines use lot of color, different types, sizes of fonts, and breakups their article with images and color. Readability. News stories are usually written in a matter of fact style. Okay. So newspaper, whenever there is a news item, either in the newspaper or a magazine, it's a matter of fact, and we are presenting the fact. But magazines employ colorful language to make the content enjoyable. The newspaper readability level corresponds to a difficult classification built around tight grammatical and syntactical rules. Linguistic subjectivity, which relies on expressive adjectiveness, enhances the readability of magazines. That means to say how far the readers are happy with the content that you are published. The space between the lines, between the columns, the photographs, the captions and the cut line, the sort of relaxation, white space, what is available on your magazine, it should be pleasing to the eyes of the readers. They should be having comfortable in reading your magazine, so that readability also should be ensured. Display of ads. So this plays a major role in magazines, because many magazines, they are having a great number of advertisements go into this magazines. Though magazines and newspapers both provide readers with information, their format and appeal differ considerably. Magazines are more advertiser driven than newspapers. Newspapers are slightly different in this regard. Newspapers driven uh, are driven more by readership than by the advertisers. They focus more on catchy headlines to capture the reader's interest and get him to read the entire story. Okay, our minds just naturally attach and group objects and association. Advertising gains Jains know this and plays their ads exactly in proper alignment with story articles. Good evening,
Yeah.
Anush. Good evening, sir.
Anuradha,
Anna, చెప్పండి అన్న.
ఓకే మిగతా స్టూడెంట్స్ ఎవరున్నారు? అలీబేగ్ జీ, కెన్ యూ స్విచ్ ఆన్ యువర్ వీడియో?
సార్
కొండస్వామి గారు, మౌనికా జీ. కొండస్వామి, where is he?
Type on one. And two more sheets. Reciprocal.
Okay. Your second semester exams are likely to be held next month from 15th onwards, I think so. Mr. Ali and Monica Kondaswamy.
ఓకే సార్.
Okay, sir.
15 నవంబర్ సార్.
Not November, October only. Next month, after festival. Day after tomorrow, we'll post the assignments also
Okay,
for
sir.
second semester. You will get the results of first semester by this month, 20th. 1 week, most probably. It will take 1 more week. Where is the Konda Swami Mota? Not seeing him. Okay, Anuradha, just carry on.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay.
So next, moving to the visual strength. So what sort of role these visual strengths have, to play on our magazines? More than the content, the serious content in the newspapers, we get to see these visuals playing a lot of, impact on the mindsets of the people. Like this, even the advertisers know that these magazines have a different set of readers, and they know who are these target readers, how to approach them, what sort of product they have, and what sort of, visuals can be packed up just to keep up their product advertisement, targeting their audiences. The visual strength of magazine is enhanced with effective use of color magazines. In magazines we can also use a color background, whereas newspapers normally have a white background. It means you can represent a more attractive color contrast in your magazine visuals. What is the shelf life? The next one. Shelf life is nothing but, as I have mentioned, if it is a weekly magazine, the life of that magazine is only for that particular week. If it is a monthly magazine, it will be for that one particular month. Okay, it is something like, just a moment. Sorry for that. Shelf life. Another strength of the magazine is a longer life. Newspapers are read only once and then discarded. In contrast, magazines are commonly kept for several days, weeks, or months in magazine, racks, which provide for possible, repeat. Sorry, my kids are messing up with me. Yeah. In contrast, magazines are commonly kept for several days, weeks, or months in magazine rack, which provides for possible repeat reading. Magazines use a sum of high quality paper and ink to produce a visually appealing product meant to be kept and read longer than a newspaper. Magazines tend to focus on entertainment pieces. 1 second. Better. Yeah. Don't mess up, beta. Go, no? Go. I'll come. Go. Sorry for that. Go, Nana. Go, beta. Go and eat. Don't cry. Go. Yeah. Sorry for that. Yeah. Kindly do excuse me. So magazines have a longer shelf life compared to that of a newspaper. They can be preserved because, due to their features of imperishable commodity, especially the newspaper also falls into this. But magazines comes with a good quality of paper. The stuff that is going into it has an elaborate coverage of any particular event. It has a detailing picture of any topic that they pick. For that reasons, it will have a longer shelf life. Even, when the magazine date is, or it is preserved for years together. Okay. Magazines also have advertisements taking up a large amount of page space to balance the cost of production. Now, copy fitting, adjusting the font size, letter spacing, word spacing, and or on line spacing to make a text matter fit into its designated or the available space is called copy fitting. Whenever the page size is too small or too large for the content, many techniques are used to adjust the content into the desired space. So, as we were discussing in newspaper, we have whatever the news reporting or compressing the copy happens in a newspaper, from the point of view of the space allocated in the newspapers, whatever the space is available, we'll build up our story in such a manner that it fits into the window. Maybe a three column ante a three column lo fit ayate we have to adjust. But coming to the magazine, they adopt different techniques are adopted just to make sure that even if the content is exceeding beyond how to cut short, if the content is falling short, within the given space, they know their how to enlarge the topic accompanied with the photographs or illustrations, and also they adopt a different sort of strategies to fit the article into the allocated space. The editor must be able to estimate whether the story will fit the space allotted. Video display terminals, computer monitors have simplified this process because they allow exact copy fitting given before the story is typeset. Magazine production and composition. So how this production and what sort of composition is going into this? The editor is responsible for providing the printer with complete specifications of magazine, not only the size of publication, the number of pages and the press run, but the use and placement of colors, the numbers and size of illustration, the type area, size of the type, and any item that will require special handling. The editor can save money and make the printer happy by giving clear and adequate instructions, presenting clean copy, editing the copy thoroughly rather than making changes in proofs, readings and returning all proofs promptly, meeting a copy deadline and giving the printer time to do top quality work. The joy of magazine writing lies in its variety, anything from a celebrity interview to a food recipe. So basically, what's happening in this, magazine production is the editor should have a clear picture of, how many number of pages a magazine publication has, and how many number of stories that are, are there for coverage for that particular time period. And they have to edit in such a fashion that these papers, along with the news write-ups or the other articles, they should even accompany the advertisements, the space allocated to it, the font they are using, the colors that goes into this, everything should be checked. And, it is given to the publisher in a well in advance time so that he can take his time to have a, good quality outcome. Okay. Then comes the language used depends to a certain extent the objectivity of the magazine. The magazine press generally prefers literary style. Thus, magazine writing requires a different way of thinking, writing, and structuring. Effective magazine writing is accessible, interesting, lively, colorful, grabbing, and relevant. Whatever be the type of publication a journalist writes for, the basic approach is the same. Write for your readers. Whether it is newspapers or whether it is your magazine, you are basically writing the content. Whatever content, whether political content or fashion or, a cookery shows or a recipes, you are writing it for a common person, your readers, and it should be as simple so that it can easily be read by the people and it should be attractive to the reader's eye also. with lots of illustrations, visuals, graphics, and photographs accompanied with the story. Those are the other tactics they use to pull the interest of the readers to that particular story. Thus, magazine writing requires a different way of thinking, writing, and structuring. Effective, this even requires what sort of colors to be used. What are the trending formats that you can adopt, depending on the seriousness of the issue, how you best you can package your news items. Okay, who is the person who is making news, who should be going on the front, front sheet, okay, on the publication copy. So all this, you as a magazine editor, you should have a good knowledge about knowing the trends, knowing the interest, how to pull the interest, what sort of colors to be used, what is this color psychology and all, everything you should be having an idea. And much before the deadline, it should be submitted to the publishing house so that quality outcome happens. Then the most important among them can be summarized like: know who you are writing for, their interest and concerns, know what you want to say and achieve. Like, don't beat around the bush, come to the point, say the point straight away, and from that straight point you try to give a detailing picture in the in the body of the story. Always prefer the concrete, to the abstract. What is the abstract you are writing? You should be having some basis, and from that base, it should have an elaborate coverage. Be accurate and readable. So, whatever the stuff you are publishing, it should be accurate, means perfect. It should be clear. It should be, something which is true, which is not, cooked up. Readable. Readable in the sense how much it is comfortable, the language, the spacing, everything should take into consideration. Have an attention grabbing introduction. Spend considerable time thinking about fresh ways to approach the subject. Keep materials and sentences short. Promote a vibrant style. Okay, vibrant in the sense you keep changing your style just to meet up to the requirements of the market. How best your news packaging can be done just to pull the interest of the readers. Know the publication's editorial policy to achieve your direction. So this is what you have to keep in your mind when you're working for a publication of a magazine. Tell a story. The important thing to remember is that you are telling a story to your readers. That means you need a beginning, a middle, and an end. It also means you need to think about where you're taking your reader and create a logical path to that end. Next comes the beginning. To get people to read your article, you need to find a way to grab their attention. For example, you can bring an article with a quote or an anecdote from a person's life. Here, you can also set the scene or use anything that will attract the reader's eye. Suppose, BGP and, it's only for an, just assume. You can create something like, what sort of the news items you must have come across as part of editor, what you say, entertainment news. Like, somebody getting married to somebody. The headline will be different. Once you get into the story, the narration will be altogether a different story. So, create that interest in the reader by the headlines. Try to create some sort of curiosity, suspension in the headline, so that you are, pulling the interest of the reader to further proceed with the article in your publication. The middle, why with most magazine articles, you talk to a person or a people. People like reading about other people. So if your interviewee says something good, use a quote. So yeah, of course, people are interested to know what's happening, in the other's life. That's the reason we are in demand. The media people are in demand. We write about politicians, we write about parties, we write about, celebrities, we write about public figures, we write about book reviews, travel logs, and all. People are interested to know. So try to trigger that. The ending. Finally, end with a bang. It could be in the form of an important point, a revelation, or another anecdote, or a quote. The idea is to satisfy your reader and to get the reader interested in your other writings as well. So try to hold on that interest. Oh, this writer, this magazine really does a wonderful job. Try to hold on to that interest, okay? So that the same curiosity is maintained for the upcoming stories written by you. Extra credit. When you research an article, you often have information left over that did not make into a main piece. Don't get rid of this. Use it to create a sidebar or a table. Editors will love this. Or as a starting point for another article. Content. So newspapers deal with reports clearly, briefly, and objective. So they are working on deadline daily basis. A magazine writer focuses on a specialized topics and current issues of public interest. Newspaper remains a primary source of authentic, reliable, and latest information about what is happening around the world and even in one's own locality. But magazines are not the sources of fresh content, are not the sources of fresh content to the extent of publishing the break news. However, its content is specialized and recent. Thus, we have various magazines such as entertainment, science, share market, sports, glamour, and movies. Newspapers are more versatile in content and hence they never fall short of content. Target audiences. The main difference between a newspaper and a magazine is that newspapers are written for a general audiences, while magazines are for specific type of audiences. A magazine attracts a varied target audiences. Its geography determines a newspaper's target audience, and its focus is broad. Here, the editor determines what the people should read, what they want and desire. In contrast, magazines' target audience is determined by demographics and interests. Hence, the target audience of magazine is usually separated geographically, but they share common interests. For example, a common interest in sports, fashion, or a beauty. A magazine editor should understand the nature of target audiences first. So here comes to the conclusion. We are done with the syllabus. The forum is now, open for any questions in this, particular subject and all. You can
tomorrow.
pose any questions. Yeah. So Sunil sir is here. So he shall continue.
We have tomorrow also classes. If you have any questions in the tomorrow session, you may ask Dr. Anuradha ma'am. Now I am continuing this session. Please, Anuradha madam, thank you for engaging the students for this time.
Thank you, Sunil. Bye.
Right. Yeah, students. Hello. Is my voice is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now we are discuss on the unit number 11 and 12. That is a printing process and paper. Okay. This is the last. This is the last block. We have 2 units in this block. Already, yeah. Mainly, there is a printing process. Unit number 11. There is a 4 major printing process we have. Now, all newspapers are using mostly offset printing. Another one also we have, that is a digital printing. That is, it is not matched for the newspaper. Just any common limit of the pamphlets, for example, 1,000 or a limited or a 5,000. That is, we are using digital printing. But in general, offset printing is used for the printing newspaper. Ma'am, it's clear to you, Ali Beg?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Yeah, in this unit, we have generally 5 printing processes we have. One by one, we will discuss. First one is a letter press. Letter press is a just simple method. We know we have a rubber stamp, seal. There is a letters in a reverse. Have you idea about the rubber stamp? Rubber stamp seal.
Yes, sir.
Yes. There is a mirror image, means letters in a reverse. After printing, the surface will come actual reading. That is the technology used here in the letterpress. In a commercial printing, letterpress printing is the process of repeatedly pressing an inked raised surface against sheets or a continuous roll of paper to treat multiple copies of an image. This is just a simple example is the rubber stamp or seal. There is a letters in a reverse mode, but this is a outdated printing mode of printing style. Now no one is using almost no one is using this press, this technique of printing. Now, for a limited copies, we have a digital printing in a multiple colors. Otherwise, go with offset printing. For newspapers, that is a offset printing. Even though today also we are using offset printing for the newspaper, right? In letterpress was originally carried out on a flattened presses in which the paper is pressed against the flat, inked from by a platen. Later, the platen was replaced by a roller in the flatbed cylinder press. Cylinder means it gives the pressure on the surface. Still later, the printing form was wrapped around one cylinder and the paper was passed between this cylinder and a second, creating a rotary press. So this is a printing, one kind of printing style, printing technology we have. But nowadays, we are not using this kind of printing press. This is history. Clear? Yeah. Kondasamy garu. Hello? Okay, unmute. Okay, clear. Next one is offset printing. This is really we are using in our newspaper industry. Still we are using this technology only. In this offset printing, a common commercial printing technique is offset printing, which involves printing as inked image from a printing plate on a rubber cylinder and then transferring the image, that is a offset printing, to paper or any other materials. Now we are witnessing a image on the teacups also. That is by the technique of offset printing.
Invitation cards also.
Invitation cards generally we are using for screen printing, for better quality screen printing. Some may know some 10-15 years ago who have attached with the printing technology, they know the screen printing also. Now also for printing of a wedding card, they are using screen printing. Screen printing technique will get the more clarity of the printing. Right? Now coming to the offset printing, due to its extreme flexibility, the rubber cylinder may be used to print on a rough paper, leather, metal, cloth, and wood. So it is a easy process for printing. So that is why still many are using offset printing only. Clear? My voice is clear to you? Next one is about the offset printing. In offset printing, the material to be printed is positioned neither below the printing plate as in another one kind of technique is gravier type. What it is there in the gravier, the letters is low to the surface. Here in the offset printing, the letters is above to the surface. So what it is happens, the ink is rubbing on the letters, but in gravier, that is also called intaglio printing. There is what happens, ink is insert in the gaps. We'll discuss on the gravier also. Offset the letters, the ink is roll on the surface, above the surface. Clear here, this one? This is called planographic technique. Now coming to the gravier printing. Gravier printing is a photomechanical intelligio process in which the image to be printed consists of depression of otherwise we call it a recesses on the surface of the printing plate. Here means letters is we have to prepare a plate for the printing. So there is a letters like below the surface. So ink will fill that area, and after rotating, that will the ink is transferred to the newspaper. In the photogravure or rotogravure, this is also somewhat we call it is also some outdated technique. Only present offset printing and in general for the new wedding cards or otherwise limited invitation cards, they are using digital printing. And even though for wedding cards nowadays they are using screen printing. Screen printing gives more quality than the offset printing. Gravure and letterpress, these two are the old techniques, somewhat 20 years, 30 years ago techniques. Now these two are not no one is using, almost no one is using, we have to say. Screen printing, this is now it is running, and it's a more quality here in this screen printing. It's a more quality technique. In this technique, the technique of screen printing involves utilizing a mesh screen, ink, and a squeeze to transfer a stenciled design onto a flat surface. Anyone have an idea about the screen printing? Anyone have an idea about the screen printing? Is anyone from here related to
On fabric cloth, so I think it was.
yes. So there is a cloth, and what it is happens, one person who squeezes the ink, who pour the ink on the that plate, on that mesh, we call it is a mesh screen, and he squeezes it, the letters, the ink will drop down on the paper. Otherwise we can use the wood, metal, plastic, and even glass with the right inks. This is a now it is in a usable only, screen printing and offset printing. And now emerge of the technology, we are using digital technology, digital printing. The basic method involves creating a stencil on a fine mesh screen and then pushing ink or a paint in the case of artwork and posters through a create an imprint of your design on the surface beneath. Yeah, it is clear to you? Screen printing. Once as a journalist, we not required to this printing is a technical aspect. Means there is a technicians and there is a production department. There is a assistant engineer and technicians is there in the printing press. But as a journalism student, as a journalist, we have to know what kind of printing press, printing techniques available in the world, in the market, just for known only. So for this a practical. You may visit any printing press nearby you. You will get the knowledge in a practical session. Just you see, you observe, you will get the idea about the techniques of printing. Kondasamy garu, is it clear to you? Right. Next one is a digital printing. Digital printing is a more advantage and technical. There is a, see, earlier we have discussed on 4 major printing processes: letterpress, offset, gravure, and a screen printing. For all this required a plate. For screen printing, we required a mesh. That is also called a plate only. In offset printing, we required a plate. And gravure printing, letterpress, all these techniques, we required plates. Plates means nothing but that we know earlier we have a film in a without digital cameras. Earlier we have a film cameras. You know that film camera has a reverse of image that will be developed in the dark room. Later it will go to the printing. We see the printed copy. Then the same process in earlier 4 printing techniques. There is a required a plate, or for screen printing there is a required mesh screen. For digital printing, the technology we have evolved, we have emerged the technology. So there is no plate required for the digital printing. So this is called computer to plate, computer to printing. So if a person like I have designed a news tablet page on the screen, I will send it in the form of PDF. PDF means, have you any idea about the abbreviation of PDF? Portable document file. Portable document file format. In that format, if we will send it to the printing press, where the digital printing technology is available, they make it on the, they send it to the machine only, the output, the printed copies will come out. But in a printing, digital printing, see, here is some limited copies. For the limited copies only useful for this digital printing, like 1000, 2000. In case of more than that, again, even printing management, they have to go with the offset printing only. That is only economy, and also for a quality printing. Even though digital printing also quality printing, but economy. So more expensive compared with offset printing. Right? Any doubt? Using microscopic ink droplets, digital printing transmits a picture onto a selected surface, such as a shirt, mug, bag, etc. We can, we know presently we are getting a printed copy, printed image on the t-shirts. That is made easy by the digital printing technology. Digital printing is one of the most economical printing methods available because of its ease of use and low equipment requirements. But here is one condition applies. The limited copies only, digital printing is economical. Some 1000 to 5000. More than 5000, again required offset printing. Yeah, Maunika, is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Right. Printing plates, again, I'm continuing with the digital printing again. Printing plates and transfer stickers are no longer needed for digital printing. computers are capable of directly printing images onto the selected media material through the use of specially built printing equipment. Here is what is the meaning of media material? Anyone say? What is the meaning of media material? Kondaswamy garu, what is the meaning of media material? Hello? Unmute yourself. Unmute. Mic on. Ali? So media material means nothing, just is a newspaper. Newspaper is a media material, right? So some books also media material. And for example, calendar, we have a calendars. We have calendars. This is also media material because the information is giving to the readers. That is the media material. Maybe if you are a printed a news on the t-shirt, that will also called media material. If a news is printed on the table or a cup, that is also called media material. Here is a difference. What is the difference between the digital printing and offset? You know, already we have discussed the offset printing is limited to, not limited, digital printing is limited to some minimum of copies, but offset printing, we have a wide range of copies we can make it with the offset printing. Both offset and digital printing are efficient methods when employing brand centric Pantone color or a larger project runs, that is 100 or thousands. Offset printing performs better, more than 1000 thousands. Maybe we have to print thousands, more than thousands of paper, for example. That is why we newspapers are using still offset printing only. In case of digital printing, it may not possible because it takes more money, more expenditure. You can also use a variety of specialist ink and unique papers with offset. For digital printing, it's again required some standard of the newspaper, standard of the paper. Paper standard is depends on the GSM, gram per square centimeter, GSM. We will in next lesson we will know about the paper quality, sizes and quality. Right. Now coming to the digital printing versus offset printing. Offset printing performs better than the digital printing, and digital printing is your best option. Though if you are simply need a limited run, means number of if less number, you may go with offset printing, digital printing, because here is preparing of a plate is not required. For plate making, it takes again much. It's a technician is required, and plate costs also. Plate means nothing but that is a film, which we see in old time cameras. There is a films, so that kind of film only. Plate means it's a bromide film, right? You can achieve the superior quality required to set your product apart with digital printing. Any doubts on digital printing and offset printing or printing techniques?
No, sir.
Please respond. Yeah, Ali.
No doubt, sir.
What is the technique in Gravware technology. There is a letters down to the plate. Means, see, sometimes we see some plates like a plate means that is a film only, film, bromide film. We call it is a bromide film. For digital printing, what colors we may use in a offset printing, otherwise a digital printing? We have discussed in our earlier class CMYK. Have you any idea about CMYK? Have you an idea about CMYK? These are the 4 key colors in a printing technology. Even though in a newspaper, end of the page, here is the bottom of the page, there is a 4 colors printed. The light blue color, it is called cyan. And next one is a magenta. Magenta means is similar to the pink color. Third one is yellow, Y. And fourth one is a K. K means black color, key color. In general, that is a key color. So that is why they call, in abbreviation, they put the letter K. These are the 4 major colors used in the printing technology. For newspapers also, all these all other colors is a combination of CMYK. In general, we know in television there is also colors. What kind of colors in the television? Which 3 main colors? There is a 3 main colors. Of those 3 main colors, from the combination from those 3 only, all others colors comes. Like 7 colors we know, rainbow colors. All those 7 colors also is based on the RGB, red, blue, green. Okay. It is clear to you? Monica?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, you have no doubts?
No, sir.
కొండస్వామి గారు మీకు ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయా? No, right. Now we are going to the next unit about the newsprint, otherwise paper. Newsprint we call generally newspaper. That paper is called newsprint, where the newspaper management get the newsprint from the paper mills, but it will gives them in a subsidy. Who gives the subsidy amount to the newspapers? We have discussed in our first lesson only. Do you have any idea about the newsprint subsidy? The which agency will give the newsprint subsidy to the newspapers? Ali? Yeah, Mr. Ali. Any idea about the
No idea, sir.
who will give the subsidy of a newspaper? So there is one agency, Press Register General of India, PRGI, Press Register General of India. Earlier, the title is RNI, Register of Newspapers in India. But now in 2003, it is renamed. There is a title is Press Register General of India. That is a one media unit by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Central Government of India. There is one unit, one organization name is a Press Registrar General of India. That office, that general, that officer who identifies, who gives the authority, who gives the subsidy amount to the newspaper management to buy newsprint based on the circulation figures. Based on the circulation figures. See, every newspaper, they have to produce their circulation figures, to the RPRGI institution. Okay. So how the word paper is derived? That is a Egyptian word, papyrus. From that papyrus, that word we are using paper nowadays, the word came from the word papyrus. That is a Egyptian word, right? How will make the paper? You have a, I think so, you have a general idea how the paper makes. That is a tree trunk. It will convert to the pulp and later it will be bleached, and this is the process. After bleaching, the how much whiteness is required, that much bleaching is required to make the newspaper what we are seeing nowadays in a white color. Clear? Is it clear to you? Yeah, okay, right. Here we have to know about the types of paper. We know paper money, bank notes, checks, textbook, notebook, magazine, scratch paper, writing paper, ledger paper, newspapers, map litho for books, paper bag, even though now we are generally very liberally we are using envelopes. All these some types of paper. How it may count, for example, a paper bag, one type of paper, because that GSM is more high, means for paper bag it is required a 230 to 250 GSM paper. For a paper money, it is required some 100 to 120. Means here it is a quality, the thickness of the paper that may measure in a GSM, gram per square centimeter, right? So based on the GSM, various types of papers available. For money, banknote or check, it is required one kind of a GSM paper. For textbooks, notebooks, magazines, it is required. So we see in a textbook, once you open it, your textbook, there is an end of the textbook, there is a measure, there is a one what is called number is there, 70 GSM. So generally notebooks, textbooks, magazines uses 70 GSM paper. For newspapers, we know newspaper is thin than the textbook newspaper. In generally, for newspapers, 30 to 35 GSM quality paper used for the newspaper printing. Any doubts?
Sir, we are using regular paper also 70 GSM.
Regular paper means generally, regular paper means you mean newspaper or otherwise a notebook paper?
No, sir. When we are using for Xerox or print.
Yes, that is also 70 GSM is a quality paper. 70 GSM is the quality paper. But coming to the newspaper, it is only 35 to 30 to 35 only. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Next, quality of paper. So quality measures in the GSM. GSM abbreviation is gram per square meter. Gram per square meter. Okay. For newspapers, we use 35 to 55 GSM quality paper. So that is why it is a more thin than the normal textbook newspaper, textbook paper. Do you observe that one? In a magazines, so magazines is different than the newspapers. It is magazines more quality, and in a printing also, printing, even though cover pages and everything is more quality than the normal newspapers. That is why in a magazines inside pages they use 90 GSM to 100 GSM glass paper, and inside pages, and for glass paper means cover page means the title page uses 150 to 200 GSM glass stock for the cover page. Okay. May you are known about the quality. Am I right? Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Types
Clear, sir.
and quality. Now coming to the sizes. Actually, there is a three kind of sizes: A series, B series, and C series. But in general, in India, we are using A series newspaper, A series paper. Again, we see in Xerox shops on the roadside, there is a A4, A2, A0 size also. Have you noticed any time earlier about this? Are you noticed on the way there is a on the way we have Xerox shops? There is a sizes also mentions on the Xerox shops, like A0, A2, A3, A4. Have you idea about that? Have you earlier saw that? Are you observed the types, that sizes of paper earlier?
Uh, Yes, sir. Different types of paper is there, sir. A4
Yeah,
size and
yeah, in a printing press particularly, there is a they mention on their what is called on the wall or a board for each type of paper, and the mentions against that the rate also. For if you want A3 size, so the rate is different. A4 size, the rate is different in a Xerox, right? So generally in India, we uses A series, B series, A series only. But in generally, there is a ABC series, but it is a similar differences between ABC. But in general, we use A series. Next, once see the picture, it is very clear. A4 size, that is called letter size, we regularly use in the Xerox shop, right? In against here, we have to discuss about the legal size. Legal size is a little means some 6 centimeters more than that A4 pages. Why the legal size? Actually, earlier there is a typing machines. So A4 page is not comfortable for the typing. So that is why they used legal size. See the here on the picture, A4 size in a red color and legal is also in a red color. A2 size, A3 size, A1 size. Okay, A3 size means almost double to the A4. A2 size means is double to the A3 size. A2 size is A1 is double to the A2 size. A0 is double to the A1 size. Right? Again, coming to the A5 size, A6 size, A7 size, half of the A4 page is a A5 size. Again, quarter of the A4 size is a A6 size. Again, if you go with another fold, A7 size. If you go with another fold, that is a A8 size. If you go with again another fold, only we can make up to A16 size only in a newspaper, any paper. Other than we could not fold it more than the A16 size. Image is clear here. Any doubt on the image? Monica, have you any doubt on the image which is showing on
No,
the
sir.
screen? Clear to you?
No, sir.
What
Yes, sir.
kind of, in the Xerox shop, what kind of, what size of paper is used generally, regularly?
A4.
A4
A4
size.
size.
A4 size. Even though for your preparation of, if you are now recently you had your assignments, you are used A4 size paper only.
Yes,
Right?
sir. Yes, sir.
The double of the A4 size is A3. The double of the A3 size is A2. The double of the A2 is A1. The double of the
A1.
A1 is A0 size. Again, coming to the small sizes, A4, again half of the A4 is A5, means less size, A6, A7, A8. May I think so it is clear to you? Any doubts? Next, here is given the A0 size to A1410 size. For A0 is here is just a width and height given in your textbook also. In the textbook also we have just this is only in general purpose. In general purpose, as a journalist, as a journalism student, we have to know the sizes of the paper. In a main profession, this is not our matter. This is a matter of production department. There is a production assistants, technicians, engineers. But we have to know the sizes as a journalism students. Again, earlier we are aware about the printing technologies, printing techniques also. That is also in general, it is a general awareness, right? హలో కొండస్వామి గారు నా వాయిస్ వినిపించడం లేదా మీకు? కొండస్వామి గారు నా వాయిస్ వినిపించడం లేదా? మీరు మీ స్పీకర్ ని వాల్యూమ్ పెంచండి. అలీ బేగ్, మై వాయిస్ ఈస్ క్లియర్ టు యూ? మౌనిక?
Yes, sir.
ఓకే. సమ్ కొండస్వామి గారు కొంచెం ఏదో ట్రబుల్ అవుతున్నట్టున్నది. అన్మ్యూట్, కొండస్వామి గారు మీరు అన్మ్యూట్ చేయండి, ఒకసారి అన్మ్యూట్ చేసి మాట్లాడండి. ఎనీ ప్రాబ్లం విత్ ద వాయిస్? This is a common table only. It is already in your textbook also. Once you just cross-check with this table. Now coming to the newspaper sizes. This is a main focus. This is somewhat our topic. It is a regular connect with our topic. Generally, we have a broadsheet paper. You know what is broadsheet paper? This is it is appearing you in my another profile. I am showing you one newspaper. Clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Right. This is a broadsheet news. This is a broadsheet size. Okay. In a millimeters and inches, we have given here. See, 749 millimeters height and 597 millimeters width. It's a broadsheet page, broadsheet size of a newspaper. In inches also is there, 29.5 inches and 23.5 inches, means height and width. Now coming to the Berliner type. Berliner type means for this, for broadsheet, here we will take up some examples like regular newspapers like Sakshi newspaper, Eenadu newspaper, Andhra Jyoti, Andhra Prabha, Velugu, Namaste Telangana, Times of India, The Hindu. All these are coming in the broadsheet. Okay. These are the examples you have to quote in your answer. In case of if there is a question in your examination about the newspaper sizes, you have to give the examples also. Next one is a Berliner type of size. Newspaper size is in a Berliner. Generally, this Berliner, otherwise another name is mid size also we called it. Generally, in India, we have the Mint, one business newspaper, the Mint. It will come in the Berliner size. And coming to the Western countries, in a UK, many more papers in a Berliner size only. Here is I have mentioned the sizes: 470 millimeters height and 315 millimeters width. In inches, 18.5 and 12.4 inches. Example is in India context, we have the Mint newspaper. We have the Mint newspaper is the best example for the Berliner type of size, newspaper size. Now coming to the tabloid, you know, if we fold it into the two folds, it will is the equal of the tabloid size. Earlier we have witnessed before COVID, we have a district papers in a tabloid size. Eenadu, Hyderabad, Namaste Telangana, Hyderabad, Andhra Jyoti, Hyderabad. But some newspapers still, so like Andhra Prabha, they are giving in a tabloid page in a district for district papers, district paper. The Sakshi newspaper, Eenadu, Andhra Jyoti are using for district paper, district news also in a broadsheet post COVID.
Mumbai Mirror, sir?
Sorry?
Mumbai Mirrors.
Mumbai Mirror also, some midday also in Berliner size only from Mumbai. Only a few, 3 or 4 in India, they are using Berliner size. But in England, in UK, in Western countries, much newspapers are comes in the Berliner size only. Again, one more we have to discuss. And one more newspaper size is a demi-tab. Demi-tab means we now witnessing magazine books in the newspapers, like in a Sakshi, in a Andhra Jyoti, in a Eenadu. We have a one magazine newspaper. It will comes every Sunday. That is a demi tab, half of the tablet page. If we fold it, it will equivalent to the tablet page. If we fold it into two or open it into open it, it will equivalent to the tablet size. Yeah, it is. Any doubts on the newspaper sizes? In case of any question comes from the newspaper sizes, you have to mention with the examples also. We have discussed about the demi-tab, tablets, Berliner, and broadsheets also. There is a number of examples for the broadsheet and a few for the Berliner tablet. We have to mention about the pre-COVID time of newspapers. In a general newspapers, all newspapers comes in a pre-COVID. There is a every district paper in a tablet size only. Any doubts? We have now it's a time to conclude the session.
Sir, these papers come in which series, sir?
No, this is A series only.
Okay.
Right, but little size difference than the A series, because
What,
cutting.
sir? What is
cutting
different between A and B series, sir?
it's equal only, but the sizes is somewhat less than the actual using. So, for example, B size, C size is generally uses in the notebooks. Notebooks. If you open a notebook, that paper is not equivalent to the A4 size, a little less. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sir, C series.
C series also generally pamphlets like. That's some type of little change. So whatever it is, that is depends on the cuttings. We call it is a reel. Reel is somewhat, I think so. It's a 32 of 32 32 times of a broadsheet size.
Okay.
Right. Any more doubts? Tomorrow we have again one more class. If you have any doubts, we will discuss, because tomorrow mostly just you go with some our material and come with your doubts. Tomorrow I will cover again the remaining units, unit number 5 and 9 also, and somewhat about the 7th unit also I will cover. Tomorrow
Sir,
only
can
the
you
last
share
class for this.
PPT, sir?
PPTs I will share you in the group.
Okay, sir. I will message you on.
It will useful to you. I will share it. Post classes I will share you. Not day after tomorrow, means some after 20th. See, some 16, 17 is all day. So after 18th or 20th, I will share it. Right?
I mean,
Yeah,
sir said 2 days after assignment will be there.
2 days after.
Assignment is there, sir.
Yes, assignments also we will upload. Assignments question paper also we will upload in the next week. Right?
Okay, sir.
Right. I'm concluding this session.